Let's take Cowboy Rick. I don't know why I keep saying it with an accent. I am going to wet it. Do I have an accent today? The Naked Family. That sounds weird. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. So today I'm going to be doing a review on the newest Urban Decay Naked Eyeshadow Palette. So this is the Wild West Naked Eyeshadow Palette, and it launched in the last couple of weeks. I'm really excited to be reviewing this, as I have been a very huge fan of Urban Decay as a brand, but especially the Naked palettes. Now the last one, the Ultraviolet palette, was a little bit of a disappointment. It definitely was not my favorite, and I did feel like it did miss the mark. I didn't feel like it really was worth the purchase, but I am really excited to be testing this guy to see if we are back in business and if we have another Urban Decay Naked Eyeshadow Palette success. So if you're interested in this palette and seeing two different looks, along with full up close swatches of the entire palette and my final review, then keep on watching. Okay, so this is the Wild West palette. This is the actual packaging. I really enjoy the packaging of Naked palettes from Urban Decay. I really like the design of this and just the idea behind the palette. So I did mention that I'm gonna be doing two separate looks. I'm gonna do one look on this eye that's gonna be more everyday, a little more natural and simple. And then on this eye, I'm gonna go a little more glam so that, you know, hopefully everybody that's watching can find a look that they can, you know, relate to, something that they would maybe feel comfortable doing or be interested in following along, or just to be able to see what this palette can do. Yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna show you a little bit more up close. It does come with this brush. Let's show you this first. Every one of the Naked palettes comes with a brush, and they usually are actually pretty good quality. I will be using it today, not by itself, but I will try to use it today to see if quality is pretty consistent. But they are really good quality brushes. They come with usually a more fluffy brush, where this one is a fluffy, more blending brush, but it does have a bit of a more dense and flat shape to it. So I think you could get a little more precise in the crease, but also get some blending abilities from that. And then on this side, you have a flat shader. This is the palette up close. I really am excited about this color scheme. It has a mixture of cool and warm tones. Really like the brown and gold color story. I'm all about that. That's like my OG color scheme, but I love the pops of blue in there, and I do think they really go well with the rest of the shades in the palette. I don't know if this is gonna match my lip, so I just realized that. Sorry guys. I usually do my lip after I do my eyes because I don't always know what I'm gonna do. I thought, oh, I'll save some time, and then realized just now that it probably won't match my eye look, so I apologize if I'm gonna just be a hot mess today with two different looks and a lip that doesn't match, but we'll see. Maybe it will end up tying into the look. We'll see, hopefully. So let's do day look first. I've already prepped both of my eyes with MAC Paint Pot, and I have kind of set that primer down with just my regular face powder, just so nothing's sticky. 8 mattes, which I do like to see, because mattes are so crucial to creating any type of look, in my opinion. I think you get a variety of different tones and like undertones, which is nice, and then some beautiful metallics. These are a little bit more foiled and glittery from the looks of them. And then you get a nice teal and a beautiful kind of metallic brown. So let's go ahead and play. Let's start with the day look. As I said, I'm gonna take a bit of a looser brush than the one that they give you, and I am going to go into Nudie, which is this kind of neutral taupey shade. Soft brown. I'm gonna use that to just start a transition in the crease. It is soft enough that we are able to create a really nice blend. I'm going to go into this Standoff, which is a nice cream, and apply that on the brow bone, but also just to help soften that edge there and really create a perfect soft blend. And every palette I've ever tried has at least one incredible transition shade that helps not only beginners, but even advanced. Like, it doesn't matter how experienced you are with makeup. I think transition shades really do help anybody create that perfect blend. And I think that Urban Decay is really good at making sure that you are equipped with enough shades that are going to help you create that. Now let's just darken up the outer edge just a little bit to create a little bit more definition. I'm going to take the brush that they give you and the larger side, Laredo. It's this one right here. It's the matte in the middle there. And this one's a little cooler toned. So let's take a little bit of that, tap off our excess, and let's put that on the outside here and kind of pat it. This brush is really nice, actually. Oh, that's a beautiful shade. It's a nice, cool, taupey brown. And then I'm just going to start to buff it into the shade that I applied before, that nice light transition shade, and kind of merge the two together. This brown metallic, I'm gonna use my finger and I'm just gonna press it in the center of the lid. I am gonna kind of blend it into the existing crease shade and just kind of pull it into the inner part of the eye so that it blends. Ooh, that's stunning. It's pigmented, creamy, and it was really easy to work with. You get a lot of pigmentation. It is quite beautiful and light reflective, but it's not like foiled like this gold. Oh, that gold is not, okay, that's a bit better, but it's not as bright as I would have thought it was gonna be. Okay, but we'll see. We'll see how it looks on, and I did build it and it looks a bit better, but the texture of the brown is different than the gold. You can even tell looking at the palette, and the brown seems a little more creamy and a little more pigmented, but we'll see. I'm gonna have to play with the gold. Let's do the gold now, actually, because I'm curious now. I'm gonna try with my finger first, and I am picking up quite a bit of product, and let's apply it. Oh yeah, it's maybe not the most pigmented gold, but it is really, really pretty. And it's buildable. Just a very lightweight formula. Like, it's not super, like, you know how sometimes you pick up a metallic and it feels like you have a ton on your finger? This does not really do that, but you can build it and it seems to do a really, really great job. So I like that. Now let's take the short end of the brush that comes with this palette and take Whiskey. Smudge that. It's a little bit of a warmer brown, but it's like kind of like a chocolate brown. And I'm just patting it and kind of smudging it along, keeping it a little bit closer and kind of connecting it to what I had applied with the taupe brown. Bring it to about halfway. Then when I get to halfway, I'm going to just kind of soften it in. And then let's take some of this gold on this brush and wet it and see. Oh yeah, that's even brighter. So they do apply really nicely wet as well, which most metallics do. You know, if you're not getting it as bright as you want, wet it and it usually really, you know, makes it stand out. Okay, so let's take a little more of this taupe shade and mix it with the nudie. So the taupe shade's Laredo, and then mix it with nudie with that large fluffy brush. I'm gonna point it down. I don't wanna apply it up because I want the majority of the pigment down. Honestly, I think that's good. Like that's, oh, we got some fallout. Didn't make too much of a mess though. It's fixable, so that's good. I think that's a perfect like everyday look for me. That's exactly what I would kind of go for. Let's just take that Whiskey shade, pat it along the lower lash line, and then I'm gonna start to smudge it as I go towards the center so it's a little bit more soft. Keep wanting to go to this other eye, but I'm not doing it. Then I'm gonna take the Laredo, which is that taupe, and help soften that edge. I'm gonna take my large fluffy brush with nudie mixed with Standoff and kind of go right along the edge so that there's no harsh lines. And that's basically that for that look. I'm not gonna do eyeliner because I did kind of darken the lash line. The only thing I'm gonna do is take a pencil liner in brown because I don't wanna really have too much contrast. I still want it to be more natural. And I'm gonna apply it to my upper lash line. This is the Maybelline Tattoo Eye Studio one. Now I'm gonna go ahead, apply some mascara to this eye, and I'll be back and we'll do a little bit more glam on this eye. Play around with that color. So I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the finished look and I'm really, really liking it. I love that. I think every single shadow I used really impressed me. When I first swatched that gold, I was a little bit concerned because when you just go like one little swipe, it's really not that pigmented. It's really not bad though. It is just a little bit more of a sheer formula, but it's buildable. It is actually a stunning gold. Like you can see my lid here. Sometimes those more sheer formulas, once they're built, are actually the most stunning because they aren't super, super chunky. They're gonna look very smooth on the skin. So let's just move on and do the glam look. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with these teals. I did want to mention before I continue is that there have been concern with Urban Decay that their formula is either not improving or almost getting worse. I definitely saw that with the Ultraviolet, but sometimes people are saying that they do fade a little bit faster. So I'm not going to do like a full-on wear test because it's just eyeshadow and it isn't like it's a new brand, but I will put in the comments below whether I felt the eyeshadow held up through the day. But I will let you guys know if I see any additional fallout or if I see, you know, really noticeable wear in the shadow, if it's fading, in the description. So for this look, let's start with Laredo as well. Let's actually use this brush here, and we're gonna start by patting it in the crease. As you can see, it's actually pretty pigmented. So it is, I just hit my face with that. Now I have a black or a brown smear on my face. What is going on? Just ignore that. I'm a hot mess, as per usual. I'm gonna just take this larger brush. I'm gonna mix Laredo with some of the Spur, only because I haven't used Spur yet. It's a little bit warmer, but we're gonna just use it to help blend it out and just start to buff that edge. Just adding the Spur is gonna help warm it up a bit so that as it transitions out, it is a little bit softer. Now let's take a bit of this on its own. It's definitely a lighter shade, but you can see on the edges how there's a lot more warmth, and that's that shade. So it is giving off a decent amount of pigmentation. I think it needs to be built up, but it is, again, a lighter shade. And I find typically lighter shades like that do anyways, but it's building pretty good. So I really, really like that. I'm gonna take Stand Off mixed with Nudie, and again, just lightly blend that edge out. Let's go into text. Let's just go in for it. So I'm gonna take a bit more of a precise brush because we don't want to be going too crazy up in here. And let's place that in the crease. I think it's quite pigmented. It's not really giving me any fallout yet. So far so good with this palette, to be honest. There's been very mixed reviews. I'm actually really liking it. This does kick up a lot of product, but again, keep in mind you do want to be tapping off your excess. So I'm again following the shape that I did with that first shade. Now what I'm going to do, that I have that laid down, I'm going to take the brush I used for this Laredo, start to buff those edges so that the teal blends into the browns and the kind of taupey shades we had laid down. And always rebuild the teal if this starts to fade a little bit. We just want to get it blended in first, and then you can build it where you want it to be most pigmented. Oh, it's really blending nicely. Look at that. Did that not blend like seamlessly? Man, I actually really like this palette. This color scheme really intrigues me more than I thought it was going to. I'm just going to go in with this side with that text, which is that kind of dark bluish teal, and I am going to reinforce that, reinforcing it at the crease where I want it the most bold and pigmented. And because this is the more glam look, I'm going all the way in, and I'm actually blown away at how this shade, Laredo, and Tex are like merging together. It's actually creating the most beautiful blend. I'm gonna go in with this absolutely stunning teal. Oh, I'm pumped. We're gonna try with the finger first, but I do wanna wet it because that gold was absolutely stunning when I wet it. So let's just see what it does on its own. It seems a little more similar in terms of formula to the brown metallic, which when you just look at them, you can see the brown and the teal look a little bit less glittery, a little less foiled. They're a little bit of a thicker consistency, like a thicker metallic, but they are quite pigmented, whereas the gold and this like icier champagne, they look a little bit more glittery, and they're actually a thinner formula. Okay, so let's press this on the eye. Ooh, look how bright that is. These metallics are really popping. I'm really impressed. Ooh, but this shade's got fallout. Oh yeah, okay, so be careful with Bud. It is the metallic teal. It has quite a bit of fallout. If you're using your finger, maybe just try not to pick too much up. Or if you're worried about fallout, the best thing you can do is take it on a brush, just wet it. So make sure you're not picking up too much, and wet it so that keeps it kind of on the brush instead of wanting to fall. It's gonna stick to your eye instead of wanting to fall off. So let's see what this does wet. Oh, she's even more bright. As you can see, it's even more pigmented when it's wet. Oh, I love this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is take the edge of, like the tip of this brush into that teal. Oh my goodness. I think I've been watching too many murder mysteries, guys. Been watching too much Bailey Sarian. Did have a bit of fallout, so that would be my biggest critique of this palette. So far as a couple of the shades had some fallout, you want to just be careful. Fallout to me, as long as it's when you're applying it and not during the day, I don't really have that big of a problem with it, because number one, make sure you're tapping off your excess, not picking up too much on your finger, or you can always make sure you're doing your eyes first. It's things that can be avoided. Obviously, if you're throughout the day, if you're noticing fallout, that can be a big no-no. This blue, I do want to revamp a slight bit after getting some of that metallic, and I'm taking my Smashbox shadow blending brush because I love this brush. I just went in there with a little bit more of Tex. That definitely helped. Okay, let's take this Tex and smudge it along the lower lash line. Okay, so that smudged really nicely. Now let's take, on this end, the Laredo, that taupe, do the exact same thing we did on the top and smudge that out. And then with this larger, fluffier brush, let's take some of the Spur and Nudie, kind of further soften that, so it matches the top. I'm obsessed. I'm actually obsessed with this. Okay, let's take this Cowboy Rick. Interesting name. We do it for the inner corner and the brow bone. Oh, I didn't highlight this brow bone. Okay, so for this eye, I forgot to highlight the brow bone. Let's take this gold that I used, mix it with Cowboy Rick. So it's kind of like still gold, but not too yellow. Now let's take Cowboy Rick. Actually, you know what? On the same brush would be fine. And let's take this and see what it can do on its own. Yeah, that's a little bit not the best. Okay, it's buildable. She's buildable. Oh yeah, it's definitely buildable, as you can see, but I think both of these are buildable, but they're gonna be best when they're wet. Obviously, you want everything to work on its own, but I wet a lot of my inner corner highlights anyways, so I'm not really too upset about it. Take some of this guy, Cowboy Rick, and we'll wet her. Oh yeah, she's stunning. Whoever said this palette wasn't nice, you guys, man, what are you talking about? And I'm just kind of pulling it into the lower lash line. And then I'm going to pull it into the upper. Okay, and then let's take Cowboy Rick. I don't know why I keep saying it with an accent. And highlight the brow bone a little bit more than the other side though, because we go on Glam. I'm going to take this Bud, and again, remember this one has a bit of fallout, so I am going to wet it. Do I have an accent today? Oh my goodness. And I'm going to apply that right here just to match the top. I kind of want to do a liner. I'm actually going to use Pony Up, which is the only shade other than Ghost Town that we have not used today. I'm going to take Pony Up on it's an angled liner brush, and I'm gonna use it to kind of smudge along the lash line just to create a little more fullness, just like I did on this side, but obviously a little bit more dramatic. I'm gonna do actually a wing. Okay, so this is the final look with mascara on. I can't even express to you how much I'm enjoying this look. Every single shade that I've used from this palette, which to be fair, the only one I haven't is this Ghost Town, but I did swatch it right here and it still looks just as creamy and pigmented as all the others. So I really do believe that every shade in this palette is pigmented, blendable. Obviously these three shades here aren't going to be as pigmented, but they are a lighter shade. All three of these shades are really helpful when you're trying to blend something out and create that perfect transition. Really, really enjoyed the matte shades. All of them were pigmented. Not all of them are the most creamy to the touch, but in terms of application, all of them are pigmented and blended out really, really beautifully. So metallic shades, these two are a little different in formula, a little bit creamier and a little bit more pigmented, but these two are a little more light reflective and a little bit more of like highlighting shades. And as you can see, when you build it and wet it, like they can go super bright. If you're having any trouble getting, especially the metallic shades to really be, you know, become as pigmented as you'd like, I really recommend using a brush and wetting them, and I promise you, you will be impressed. And I also recommend doing that if you're experiencing too much fallout with some of them. I think it gives a lot of option. I definitely give this palette a thumbs up. I definitely recommend it, and I think it is a beautiful addition to the Naked family. That sounds weird. It's a beautiful addition to the Urban Decay Naked Eyeshadow Palette family. Let's word it like that. Definite improvement from the Ultraviolet. Definitely be using this and testing this more, but I really enjoyed it today, and I hope you guys got some inspiration and found this video helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up. Oh, and keep watching for swatches. I'm gonna have swatches of the whole palette, all these beautiful babies up close and personal. Have a wonderful day, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.